Content warning. The following episode discusses Jeffrey Epstein's case files, which contain references to child sexual abuse, sex trafficking, physical abuse, and other related horrendous crimes. Listener discretion is advised. New files, everyone implicated, a global disaster that touches seemingly every aspect of our lives. This is the Epstein Files Update, Part 1. Sinisterhood.
We just had to have a discussion about what the content warning was going to be. And I said, just say all of the worst things imaginable.
Everything. I wanted to be like, it contains historically bad, but I don't mean historical in that they don't occur, but it is, I do think this is the single biggest, I don't want to say crime because it's not a single crime, but I can't even think of the words of it.
A ring?
It's been a ring. It's been like touching seemingly every aspect of our lives all across the globe. And it is historic. I don't want anyone to tell you not to think about it today. If you're ever concerned of whether you're overreacting, go and watch firsthand videos of our current serving Congress people who just came out. Like I saw Melanie Stansbury 5 minutes ago. She's in her car and she's like, because she's from New Mexico. And in a future episode, we're going to talk about the ranch in New Mexico. And she said, gruesome, graphic crimes. And it's not like that crazy Epstein guy. This would be like if all of the serial killers you knew were all friends and also your boss.
Yeah. Yep. I have had to say more times this week, I'm not crazy. This is going to sound insane what I'm saying when I'm talking to people, but I promise you I'm not crazy because it does feel crazy to say. And if I feel like that, having read proof of emails that this is going on, it's no wonder that so many victims that weren't murdered, when they tried to tell police, also involved, or other law enforcement or whoever also involved, that these things were going on. Yeah, who would believe it? They're eating babies. I saw them sacrifice a baby in front of me and then they made me drink its blood. And then, such and such was raped and then this person was murdered. And you're like, sure, kid. And you're like, no, literally word for word what they said happened.
Well, and the statistics say that when a complainant makes a cry out of abuse, that if there is any ritualistic aspect of that abuse, juries, and by virtue, I would say the public, are predisposed not to believe them. So all that to say is, as you listen to this, we have done our best and will do our best that whatever we bring to you here, we have a corresponding Bates number to the Epstein Files transaction or Epstein Files Transparency Act. We will not repeat unfounded rumors here for you. We'll find it in the files before we say it actually happened, but it's happening. Like, it's one of those where I said, it's like a horror movie where you're like, as long as I can get to the phone and call 911, and you call 911 and the dispatcher goes, okay, we're sending someone, and then hangs up the phone and tells the sheriff, someone from the ranch called, and he's like, better tell him that the girls got to a phone. I mean, we're at that level of extreme institutional corruption. And that's not to say every single elected official ever is in on it, but I would say it might be like a 1-to-1 ratio. It might be like half of them, maybe.
You get to a certain level, or you're appointed rather, because who appoints you has blackmail on you. And they know that they've got you. They're dangling the video of the shit you did over your head. So Pam Bondi's not going to tell you no. Stephen Miller's not going to tell you no. Who's that pervert that is the Speaker of the House?
Mike Johnson?
Yeah, he's not going to tell you no.
He is a pervert.
Because they all know what they've done. And I watched a creator who I find to be very reputable, and we can post a link in the show notes, explaining, which I thought he did a really good job of explaining, because I think a lot of people look at these files and they see that ritualistic stuff and they think satanic worshiping, demons, blah, 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 blah. And his point was even the high ups don't really believe that. It's all a power play. Like, you don't start off eating a baby, but perhaps you get invited to a party and, it gets late in the party and all of a sudden everyone dons these robes and masks, and you're like, well, I mean, I'm already at this island with all these billionaires. What am I going to do? Say no? Of course I'm going to put these on. Or you're like, well, it's normal. Like these people, I know these people. It's not,
or
whatever.
Your father has been doing it year after year, and it's like, it's now your time, son, for the road. You're like predisposed to it.
So then you do that. And then the next time you come back, it's the same thing. But then they bring out a goat and sacrifice it. And you're like, well, might not have done that. But I mean, these guys are my friends. I don't want to not be invited to the table. So yeah, I'll be here for that. And so, and also psychologically in your own brain, you have put behind you, well, I was already willing to do X, Y, Z. So, I mean, this isn't, okay, this is the next step. It's not that bad. Well, extrapolate that out to where now they've handed you the knife at the next meeting and you're the one that's supposed to do it. And people are taking videos and photos of all of this. And then the next time, it's not animals.
Yeah.
They parade out a bunch of kids. And by this time, you've been around them 5 times. And you're like, well, I mean, and so my point is they also turn that water up to boiling level to where it's not like you just jump right in and all of a sudden you're, eating baby intestines and talking about how they taste like cream cheese. But it gets to that point, and the people, the handful of people that are running everything have documentation of you doing all of that. So, and you know that. So then what? You have the worst thing that is blackmailing you possible, and you sell your soul to not have that information released.
Yeah, I mean, truly, it's sort of from what I can tell, I've just been reading tons of documents and watching videos of the Alfredo, which was his, I guess, Epstein's kind of house manager, one of them that had the little black book. I straight up just watched him sit there and be like, yeah, Ehud Barak was there and Donald Trump was there. He's just like listing off names, but there's a sufficient amount of people around it that are not participating in it either, that are like the ones that come and mop the blood up afterwards. And those folks, are going to need to be talked to as well. It's like with the Diddy thing where it's like, hey, the receipt for 10,000 bottles of baby oil was to you, Jane, and not to Diddy himself. And it's like these acid, barrels of acid are being ordered, not really, by like someone helping out. It's like, there's a lot of assistance and hands.
For sure.
Hopefully there are people that are now less afraid and willing to come forward. But all that to say, from the law enforcement perspective, what it appears to be as well, because I think it's dangerous to go, everybody is implicated, because that's not true. The scarier part is you don't know who's implicated. It's like, it's literally like when in the Untouchables, when we need an Elliot Ness who's like not attached to anything, because otherwise you just try to call, like I said, you call the police, call the FBI, and the initial FBI agent who's not on the take, who doesn't know, takes your statement and is like, oh God, this is crazy, and tells 2 or 3 people. And then it gets up to the supervisor, and the supervisor goes, yeah, shred this. You never saw this. So it's like, oh, fuck. Well, then the FBI agents are like, oh, well, now we kind of know who's out there and what they're capable of. Not to mention Thomas Massey has said some of his staffers have received overt threats, and not just recently. I mean, previously been told, essentially, we'll come and investigate you for fraud. We'll, if you tell your boss to back off of us. So again, it's this like creepy, like in a circle of 10 people that make really important decisions about us, 4 to 6 of them are compromised, and the other 4 to 6 think they can trust those people. So then isn't everybody really compromised because they're, so it's really insidious and terrible. That's why I'm proud of everybody that's doing what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, it is. It's rough because there is that feeling of hopelessness that, well, if at some level somebody's in on it, then, the buck stops with them, which can feel like, well, then how do we ever change the system if it's so insidious and so many people and companies globally are intertwined, people we haven't even heard of, sultans, huge, rich, royal families, I mean, generational wealth. It is so entwined and seems to be so global with so many people involved that it does feel insurmountable. And I think it's going to take a long time for this to be untangled and for people to go through all of these files, which are a lot of them still very heavily redacted. Congress is getting to see, even then, I think some stuff is still redacted. That's just less redacted.
Yeah.
So they don't even get to see 100% the truth.
And they're pushing, going, you can't tell us that this is a computer terminal where we can review unredacted files and then I pull something up and names are blacked out. No, we can't do this. So,
but the point to that is someone at the top said black those names out. That's above Ro Khanna.
I think I know who he is. I think I know who said the blackest name. A lot of my friends are gonna get in trouble.
It is nice to see that they all hate each other. You know what I mean? Nobody has a decent bone in their body. They'll sell anybody under or throw anybody under the bus to save themselves. They openly talk about how, they hate Musk or Trump or whatever. But then, they all get around and do the gross shit together because what is more powerful than money? Knowledge, blackmail. That is how you...
Insider information.
Yeah. And why are they spies? Because they take the information they get and then they get paid to tell somebody else. Who is that someone else? Lots of people. Israel, Russia.
Top. That's what's going on, man.
It's a lot, and it's a lot to digest. And I've been open with my inner circle that this has been really hard for me to mentally process. We're watching historically in real time the United States crumble in a way. And we now find out all these insidious ties into and how we've been victims in ways we had no idea. The textbooks that are put in our classrooms.
Yeah.
Ghislaine Maxwell's father owns them. You know what I mean? It just goes so deep that it is intentional, though. They want you to feel so overwhelmed that you're like, this is crazy. This couldn't be happening. Or like me, you're just freaking out.
Yeah, no, it is a high-powered defense litigation tactic to try to activate the basis part of ourselves by freaking you out, by dumping a bunch of documents on us and saying maybe there's important stuff in here. Maybe it's just a receipt for a sandwich. You don't know. And really, it kind of causes this hypervigilance amongst all of us. I will say I'm extremely happy to hear that it is essentially becoming an internet group project, that while there are 3 million files, from a lawyer perspective, that's a lot of doc review. That's a lot of doc review. And the congressional members they don't have time to go through all of that. They don't have the staff to go through all that. So there are people out there that have been building the jmail.world. It's an interface that you could interact, basically search it like a Gmail inbox, search text messages. So there is evidence of crimes being buried when everybody goes, why isn't anyone doing anything? It's because there's so much evidence. They have somebody, being Congress, has to build a case. So Aaron Parnas and other journalists have said, hey, we have a direct line to these Congress members. If you have a number that you think is a crime, please email me. So keep your eyes peeled for stuff like that.
File number for clarification.
It's like an Epstein file transparency, like EFTA number. And he said, send it to me and I will basically collate them and send them on to Congress to kind of, if we as the public are packaging together, here's evidence of crime. Becca Day is somebody I've been thinking about a lot. I
like her a lot.
She's a TikTok creator and she's been using public records, no Epstein files, in the last 2 years to put these people together. And every time one of the names I'm like, that's the name. Eva Dubin was in there. Jean-Luc Brunel was in there. She's been saying. So folks like her who are gathering, packaging things together, I say don't lose hope, because it is like one big group project and we're all having to work on it together. And the people who are receiving that information is certainly doing stuff about it.
Yeah. And don't be blind to this. I know it's hard, but think of it in the way of you're bearing witness to what these victims went through. And, we all have limits for sure. And things are triggering. And I would hate for someone to feel re-victimized themselves. Re-traumatized. So everyone has their limits of what they can take. I would say, I believe it was Tommy that said, you can observe, not absorb. So dang. At least you are aware of what's going on. Because I have tons of friends that are like, oh my God, I had no idea it was this bad when I was like, here's the TLDR. And the amount of times I was like, it's verifiable. I'm not crazy. I know it sounds insane, but that stuff is not getting put out on mainstream media. Go look at the Washington Post headlines. We're talking about frozen iguanas, for fuck's sake. You know, like the people. And why? Because who owns the Washington Post?
Jeffrey Bezos.
And then who's in the files?
Yeah, I mean, they're all buddy.
Yeah, but don't completely turn a blind eye to this, because this is world changing what's going on. And it would behoove you to stay abreast of what's happening so you're not just hit out of left field when some crazier shit than this even drops.
No, truly. And another mark in the column of hopefulness is that this is very bipartisan. A ton of former MAGA loyalists have completely flipped, complete 180s. So if you live in a place where you think, oh, they don't care, they do care, and call in and say, hey, I am a constituent and I am desperately interested in the Epstein Files and the financial, whatever. We'll talk about a lot of stuff for you guys today, but that is something that is moving the needle in a lot of places because they're all fucking terrified that they're going to lose their jobs, because they're all going to lose their jobs.
God willing. Well, I'm Christy.
I'm Heather.
And let's get into it. In November 2025, Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. This law says the Department of Justice has to publicly release certain documents related to the sex trafficker, financier, and intelligence asset, Jeffrey Epstein, within 30 days. That deadline passed on December 19th. The law uses the word shall, which legally means disclosure is not optional. On January 30th, 2026, the Department of Justice executed a partial release of additional materials, including approximately 3 million pages of documents, 180,000 images, and 2,000 videos. The material derives from FBI investigations conducted between 2006 and 2019 and includes emails, court documents, and victim statements. This data represents the underlying case files rather than earlier materials that only entered public records through litigation.
And that's important to qualify as well, that people said, oh, it's just a bunch of emails. It's not proof of anything. Ask anybody who's gone to federal prison for insider trading whether emails can send you to jail. That if you email someone, here's a tip, and they go, sounds great, can't wait to use that tip, they will send you to jail for that. So the fact that it is an email does not mean that it is not substantive evidence of something. It doesn't mean it has been litigated, adjudicated, and found, gone through evidentiary, procedures, but also the chain of custody on a lot of this shit's fucked up because it went from one place to the other, redacted, unredacted, whatever. So that's the other hard thing. I think intentionally they messed up the chain of custody on this. So I would hate for anybody to let their preconceived notions about the viability of this evidence let the victims not see justice. Go, well, it's just emails. Yeah, it's just a bunch of emails.
No, in fact, it is quite eerie and voyeuristic in a evil way to get a window into the world in which they operate and the casualness with which they email with the most typos I've ever seen in my fucking life, which Tommy, and this isn't even like a joke, pointed out, like, yeah, because that's like another alpha thing. You're like, I don't have the time to fucking go through and do this. So then, yeah, one of them sends an email with a bunch of typos. Then Musk is like, oh, well, if he didn't go and correct himself, then I can't, or I'll look like a little, a plebe. So everything is just, and
true though.
They're too busy, raping kids to really spell check. But it is so eerie to pull back that curtain and see firsthand two people emailing back and forth about this kind of stuff.
Especially because it'll be like, hope you and the kids had a nice Christmas. Yeah. Love the torture video. Send more. Or like, great weekend with you guys. Always a memory. That 9-year-old Brazilian.
Yeah.
It's such a strangely sounds like normalized thing. Mm-hmm. It's horrifying.
It is. Federal law enforcement has seized 14 terabytes of data in connection with the Epstein investigation. Critically, this recent release only accounts for approximately 50% of the total estimated number of documents. The DOJ has indicated that the complete collection comprises roughly 6 million pages, meaning that just as much remains unreleased. Part of the issue is the significant amount of child abuse material. In a secretly recorded video taken at a lunch last spring, Attorney General Pam Bondi told her companion through bites of her food that the FBI was trying to parse the information, but
you know what it is, though? There are tens and thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids, so they have to go through every one. The flippancy with which she says this, again, this is a video of our current Attorney General lamenting the difficulty it is taking for the FBI to scrub through tens and thousands of videos, and it's all with little kids.
yeah.
And also today, Representative Jamie Raskin mentioned that the president is in the files 1 million times. So statistically speaking.
Statistically, way more times than Jesus is mentioned in the Bible.
Or Harry Potter is mentioned in all 7 books.
Yeah.
So that's a number. So, but her saying that, I have no doubt that what is, as Ro Khanna said, what has not been released is nuclear. Or Melanie Stansberry today said, what I have seen. I mean, she looked like a ghost. You know, she was just like, I can't unsee that. Sinisterhood will be right back.
Cravings aren't just about nicotine. They're about the habit, the hand-to-mouth motion, oral fixation, the momentary pause. When that loop is broken, cravings spike. Fume replaces your habit with a flavored air fidget device that gives your hands and mouth something to do, distracting cravings without nicotine, vapor, or batteries. Don't just try to quit. Upgrade the habit loop. Reach for Fume instead.
I love the Fume. I like my wooden Fume, which is very satisfying in your hand, and it's wooden, and it's like a fidgeter, as well as having lovely flavored air, and the disposable, replaceable Fumes as well. I like those. Throw them in my purse, keep them on an airplane or something. It's something that I can fidget with, suck on, chew on, and not have to think about anything else while I'm doing it. I'm just enjoying the moment.
Yeah, they've got tons of good flavors too. Crisp mint, it's the strongest flavor. Raspberry is a little sweeter. They have seasonal ones that will come out. So you really need to get the Journey Pack because then you get all of the varieties.
Mm-hmm.
When you grab a Journey Pack, you'll also get a free gift just for using our code CREEPY.
Fume has helped over 700,000 people take steps toward better habits, and now it's your turn. Use our code CREEPY to get a free gift with your Journey Pack. Head to tryfume, that's TRYFUM.com, and use code CREEPY to claim your free gift today. Sinisterhood will be right back.
The Epstein Act allows narrow categories of withholding, each of which must be justified in writing and explained to Congress and the public. DOJ must demonstrate that each withheld document or category of documents falls within one of 4 categories. 1. Properly classified national security information consistent with Executive Order 13526. 2. Victim personally identifiable information, or PII. 3. Child sexual abuse material, or CSAM, that cannot legally be disclosed. And 4, material that would demonstrably jeopardize ongoing law enforcement investigations. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche has asserted that files were released with
no oversight from the White House.
If true, it suggests DOJ operated independently in making disclosure and redaction decisions. Blanche also stated that no media showing
death, torture, or abuse
have been released. Given that these files derive from an FBI sex trafficking investigation, this statement prompts immediate questions. If these materials exist and have been withheld, under which statutory exemption? The partial release triggers multiple paths to accountability that will determine whether the remaining materials are disclosed and whether current redactions are ever removed. There are currently at least 10 countries outside the United States conducting their own independent investigations as well.
And Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, who drafted the act themselves, have said they are prepared to use the inherent contempt powers of Congress should they need to arrest someone. So Pam Bondi is coming to testify this week, and you know, she lies or they find out she's covering something up, they've said they're ready to arrest her. So that's also, I mean, we are in a historic moment. This probably next 2 or 3 weeks, something's coming.
Yeah, because what if scenario, they try and arrest her and she's like, nope. And Trump's like, nope. And
that's a constitutional crisis, baby.
And then what happens, you know?
I got to call my friend the government professor because I don't know, man. It's not good. I'll tell you what, unprecedented, I think.
Yeah. And people keep asking me, well, what's the answer? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that anybody knows right now. It's literally a complete dismantling of everything. And there's no easy or fast way to do that.
It's, in my opinion, Todd Blanche and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi will be sacrificed, not in the Epsteinian way, like physically, but I do think having Todd Blanche come out and say the White House didn't know anything about redactions was intentional. Him saying,
you mean so he could later be a sacrificial lamb?
Yes, absolutely. So they could go, well, see, Blanche told you we didn't have anything to do with it. And the same with Pam Bondi. So Pam Bondi is loyal to Donald Trump ever since he gave her that money way back when to stop investigating Trump University. And like, you got to pay the piper. Yeah. So prepare yourself to go. I do think Pam Bondi will go to jail. I think Kash Patel will go to jail. Todd Blanche, TBD on what he knew, but it sounds like something. But I do think that there's been provable federal violations of federal law, and they will be held accountable.
Yeah, I completely agree that they orchestrate who amongst their people are going to be the sacrificial lamb of that week, because everybody is expendable to them. You know, they don't care about anybody. So regardless of how loyal you've been, if it benefits Trump, then he's going to say, nah.
No, there's big whales and there's barnacles. And like Pam Bondi is a barnacle. She was never going to be invited to the parties. She was never going to be, but she's a barnacle. She's a sucker honor and wants to like get, power, money as much as you can, which is not as much as the whales. And so you see them all. I mean, Ghislaine was a co-whale, definitely. But I think they were willing to, Jeffrey's not here physically. Where is he? Colorado, I think. But he's hidden somewhere.
Colorado, interesting.
I've got some email leads from my searching this morning. Is my personal so far opinion. He's potentially in Colorado.
I also believe he's alive, but not in this country.
But yeah, what I think is going to happen is all the whales will flee to Qatar or Saudi Arabia, something like that. So.
Did you know? Fun animal fact. Once a barnacle attaches to something, it cements itself to that for life unless someone or something removes it.
If it gets cut off and then it dies, perhaps.
In fact, the barnacle cement, for example, when a barnacle gets on a crab, is so strong and adhesive that it's being currently studied by scientists because that is how strong it is. I watch The Friendliest Catch a lot, follow him on TikTok, and he is a eco-friendly, sustainable fisherman. And one of the things is crabs, and he throws tons back, but he does a lot of education with it. And he calls it giving a scrub up and a riz, and he clips all the little barnacles off of them and then gives them some fish before he tosses them back down. But I thought that was fascinating that unless they are removed, they stay on you forever. I think that's very poignant in this situation too.
Makes sense.
Senator Ron Wyden has been conducting a 3-year investigation into Epstein's finances, but has met resistance from current Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Bessent has systematically blocked the senator's efforts to obtain crucial financial records, including suspicious transaction report generated by Epstein money transfers. On Valentine's Day 2024, Wyden's staff and Bipartisan Senate Finance Committee investigators spent several hours reviewing over 1 billion suspicious financial transactions at the Treasury Department, including payments to women from Eastern European countries where many alleged victims originated. However, staffers reviewing the documents were only allowed to take handwritten notes and were not allowed to make copies. Insane.
Yeah, no, it's wild.
Fucking insane.
Scott Bessent has also said it's not his purview as the Treasury Secretary to investigate financial crimes. And Ron Wyden was like, no, but it is, though. It actually is, though, your job. You should do that.
The Treasurer deals with all the money, right?
Yeah, much like Al Capone. But I don't think anybody is going to get convicted for sex abuse, by the way. So everybody needs to just don't hope for that. It's never going to happen. Nobody's going to believe the victims. They're not going to believe all the ritual stuff, period, full stop. If you want to see people go to jail, the only thing is something you have hard evidence, and where you have hard, irrefutable, undisputable evidence is financial transactions. Like, I think if anybody goes to jail for sex crimes, it's going to be for money laundering around sex crimes or wiring around sex crimes. Sorry, they don't care about victims. They don't care about the you will see, much like Al Capone killed a bunch of people, had a bunch of people killed, never went to jail for murder. These people are never going to go to jail for sex crimes.
I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Why was Alec Murdaugh originally brought up on charges? You know, I mean,
hard evidence.
The only thing I can think of, because I just hope so bad that many victims that are still living and speaking out, mind you, are somehow believed by, you know, Congress and receive some sort of justice.
No, it's a really good point. But I will say there's no statute of limitations on murder. So to the extent that there is evidence that they killed someone, hid bodies, whatever, afterwards, I could see there be some type of charges from that. But I also don't think, Al Capone wasn't strangling people. He sent somebody to kill people on his behalf. So maybe you find records of that.
Mm-hmm. Secretary Besant has twice refused to provide these records to the Finance Committee in 2025, with Senator Wyden writing,
"There's no doubt that the Trump administration's ongoing cover-up of the Epstein Files is giving comfort to the pedophiles and accomplices who were part of this sex trafficking ring. The Treasury records shine a light on how the high-profile individuals paid Epstein staggering sums of money, which was then used to move women around the world or engage in dubious transactions indicative of money laundering, which includes Epstein winning the lottery twice, which of course it's rigged, but I'm like, this guy's not winning the lottery for him to take the money home and cash it. You win the lottery, give the ticket to the person that you owe money to. Suddenly there's no financial transaction showing that you gave money to that person. It's a great way to launder money. Just like it is if you buy a house on credit for $50 million and then later sell that same house to the creditor for $93 million, thus netting yourself $43 million. That's money laundering between you and the creditor, right? That wasn't Epstein. That was the president doing that with the Russian oligarch. But you know what? You see what I'm talking about, right?
For sure. In September, Wyden introduced the Produce Epstein Treasury Records Acts, or PETRA, stating,
"The basic question here is whether a bunch of rich pedophiles and Epstein accomplices are going to face any consequences of their crime. And Scott Besant is doing his best to make sure they won't. My head just about exploded when I heard Besant say it wasn't his department's job to investigate those Epstein bank records."
The files detail Epstein transactions totaling at least $1.5 billion and include names of women and girls he may have trafficked, as well as identities of individuals whose involvement may put them at risk of blackmail or foreign corruption. The records show Epstein used correspondent accounts at multiple Russian banks to process hundreds of millions in payments related to potential sex trafficking, with several of those Russian banks now under U.S. sanctions. Epstein survivors have endorsed Senator Wyden's bill, but Secretary Besant continues to withhold the records.
My thing's like, if you don't release Epstein records, I assume you're in Epstein records. That's that's just the new floor, is either we're here to expose who the pedophiles are, or you are concerned. You're the guy in the hot dog suit being like, we're all trying to figure out who did this. It's like, you're the guy who did this.
Yeah.
We know it.
Oh, agreed. And I would extend that to beyond these people involved. If people I know are like, it's not that bad, I don't really think anything that happened, I'm like, bye-bye.
Let me see that email. Let me see your search history, because I don't trust
whether you're a pedophile or just a dumb fuck. I don't really want to associate with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, it truly is. It is historic. We're living through the history book, kids. What a time.
After spending 2 hours reviewing unredacted Epstein files at the Department of Justice on February 9th, 2026, Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna emerged with damning findings. Massie told waiting reporters outside,
"There are 6 men. We went in there for 2 hours. There's millions of files, right? And in a couple of hours, we found 6 men whose names have been redacted who are implicated in the way the files are presented."
Massie revealed one is
pretty high up in a foreign government,
later hinting on social media that the redacted names include
a well-known retired CEO and a sultan.
Khanna stated,
None of this is designed to be a witch hunt. Just because someone may be in the files doesn't mean that they're guilty. But there are very powerful people who raped these underage girls. It wasn't just Epstein and Maxwell, or who showed up to the island or showed up to the ranch or showed up to the home knowing underage girls were being paraded around. And I would agree with that. Let's just start off here. Fuck Alan Dershowitz.
Oh, to the moon and back.
Alan Dershowitz was on Newsmax today, his eyeballs bulging out of his head, often the sign of a person telling the truth, screaming about the victims, just like, they're all liars. They're all liars. And he's freaking out and panicking. Meanwhile, right before that, I watched Alfredo, who is the house manager with the Black Book, going, oh, Mr. Dershowitz, he was there. He would lay out by the pool, taking in the sun, drinking the wine. And, all the girls would be walking around topless or nude, and then they would be taken upstairs for the hanky-panky. But Mr. Dershowitz didn't go upstairs. He just stayed down in the chair. And I'm like, Alan Dershowitz, if you think that saves you, that you were just the guy outside by the pool while everyone was fucking children, it doesn't save you. You're a nasty fucking pervert freak. I also know he likes to sue people. I hope he sues my dick, because Alan Dershowitz absolutely is implicated in these files, period, full stop. Yes, absolutely. Everybody deserves a defense, even pedophiles like Jeffrey Epstein. But a defense does not include going to their house and taking off your shirt and drinking wine by the pool while he has 7th graders having sex with him upstairs.
Virginia Giuffre mentions Alan Dershowitz many times in her memoir. And if you're the attorney for a convicted pedophile, you sure as shit know what he does and what he's up to. So, you lay with dogs, you're going to get fleas. Okay, you didn't go upstairs and do it. One, I don't personally believe that. But if you know that sexual crimes against minors are occurring and you do nothing about it, then you are also complicit and should be charged.
Yes, you're aiding and abetting. Yes, the rape of kids. So yes, I think he's guilty. And like I said, a guy he's not in a public fight. He was filmed in a private conversation, spilling all the beans he knew about Epstein in a genuine way, said that. So Alan Dershowitz going on Newsmax, which is the only place that'll actually interview your pedophile ass. Like, get on out of here.
He's been a piece of shit for decades.
And he's just disgusting. Physically speaking, he's grotesque.
Yeah.
They all are.
Like
I think it rots them from the inside.
But the lawmakers found another problem. Khanna said,
there's still a lot that's redacted. Even in what we're seeing redacted versions.
He said he didn't blame prosecutors at the DOJ, who never pursued cases, as all the evidence they received was already redacted by the FBI, making further investigation impossible. Khanna concluded,
they have been protecting some of these men. Maybe it wasn't intentional, but the law is very clear. They need to comply with the law. So if the FBI agent redacts it and then gives it to the U.S. attorney, and the U.S. attorney's like, cool, I can't follow up on any tips because it's just blacked out names, and you're kind of told it's for national security reasons, then you're like, all right, well, I'm domestic FBI agent, whatever. I don't need to look into this.
Everyone has someone they answer to. Except for the very person at the very top, or the handful of people at the very top. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of good people can do a lot of stuff. Then you get the Kash Patel who's like, no.
Who lied on
black marker.
I mean, it's pretty damning that Kash Patel said Trump's name appears less than 100 times across all the files.
That is such a absolute lie.
You guys, he was off by one word. He meant 100 million times. He was like, sorry.
I mean, the proof of that being not true is so large that it's laughable that you would even say something like that.
Well, I mean, he said it months ago before the Epstein Files Transparency Act was passed, which I think is evidence that pissed off Jasmine Crockett's like, you thought we were going to stop when you told us he wasn't in the files. You thought we were going to stop when we had to get the bill out of committee. You thought we were going to stop then. She's like, we're not stopping, baby. And I was like, I think back then they thought, well, the files are never going to come out, so we can just say whatever we want. I'm like, you underestimated a pissed off lawyer from Texas. She's mad.
And we're not talking about you.
And I am.
But
I
you
am
are
too.
also one.
Yes, ma'am. I love Jasmine Crockett.
Me too.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. We get it. February is full of flowers, candy, stuffed animals, and of course, lots of talk about relationships and dating. And no matter where you are, whether you're married or dating or single or just focusing on you, you're right on time. Therapy can help you find your way and see more clearly where you want to be.
BetterHelp has helped over 5 million people find licensed therapists who listen and support real progress. They make it easy to get started by matching you with a therapist based on your needs and preferences so you can focus on your goals, not the guesswork. And if the fit isn't right, you can switch anytime. I just had a BetterHelp session Monday morning in my car, not driving. I was parked in a gas station parking lot, but that's the magic of BetterHelp. It's literally so convenient that I was somewhere and I couldn't get home before my session. And I was like, what? I'll just park here, get me a coffee from inside.
Nice.
Just sat there in the sunshine and had a nice chat in my car. So I like that I can keep my weekly appointment. And, you know, as long as I'm in Texas, I can keep having it wherever I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/sinister. That's betterhelp.com/sinister.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
Despite being subpoenaed months ago, Ghislaine Maxwell, currently serving 20 years for sex trafficking as Epstein's key accomplice, invoked her Fifth Amendment right and refused to testify before the House Oversight Committee on Monday, February 9th. Her attorney, David Oscar Marcus, dangled potential testimony in exchange for clemency from President Trump, claiming in prepared remarks,
"Only she can provide the complete account. Some may not like what they hear, but the truth matters. For example, both President Trump and President Clinton are innocent of any wrongdoing. Miss Maxwell alone can explain why, and the public is entitled to that explanation."
Democrats accused Maxwell of using the deposition as a clemency campaign, while Republican Chair James Comer said he believes she should not receive clemency, as the bipartisan committee unanimously concluded she was
a very bad person.
So far, the president has not ruled out a pardon for the convicted sex predator.
That's one thing. Representative Luna from Florida, with whom I disagree on many things. Lauren Boebert, with whom I disagree on many things, except hand jobs and vapes. Love those things. Not in a theater, but two of my favorite things, honestly. But both of them walked out of seeing the unredacted files and were asked point blank, period, do you believe Ghislaine Maxwell should receive clemency? And both of them said no. Boebert said, I think she should get life in prison and never be let out. And I think Luna was like, she shouldn't be in the nice prison she's in. Why did we move her? So again, it is don't lose hope. It is a bipartisan effort now going, why are we being nice to this child rapist? Because that's what Ghislaine Maxwell is as a child. If you're ever confused, Ghislaine Maxwell is a severe, it's like her and Epstein were like the Ken and Barbie killers. I'm not overstating this. No. I think Jeffrey Epstein was very similar to H.H. Holmes in a lot of ways. And the both of them together were similar to the Ken and Barbie killers, where I think they derived sexual excitement about harming kids together. So 100%. Let's not get it. This wasn't his secretary making the appointments for him. She would walk in the room and rape people. And
be a participant in many things. Yeah.
Actively.
Virginia Giuffre, her memoir alone, countless accounts of Ghislaine being there and raping her also. Threesomes between all of, trafficking. Everyone from infants to, teenagers. Just absolute fucking garbage, dude. And the fact that she was moved to the prison she's in, she should be
solitary.
Solitary for the rest of her life. And then, you dumb bitch, why would anybody be like, oh, yeah, we'll believe what you say. You'll spill the beans and tell us everything if we just let you out. When she's told nothing but lies, why would anyone believe that? Here's my theory. They don't. But Trump hears, all right, we'll let her out. She gets let out, says he had nothing to do with it, flees to another country. We never see her again.
I think I would be surprised if he lets her out. I'll say that. Politically, it's extremely unpopular. It's like unanimously unpopular. And if he lets her out, I think we would all be able to go, oh, so he's guilty. So I think he doesn't know that, but it is very unpopular to let her out.
It's unpopular.
Will he still do it? Certainly.
He's the one that's going to suffer the most. So I don't think he would do anything that would put him in harm's way.
Yeah, I think it's why she hasn't been killed yet. Maybe she's got a dead man switch. of information, document something about him as well. Because it is interesting. She's been not just in prison, but like treated pretty well in prison. Like,
yeah, she got a dog. Good for her.
Somebody has some info on you.
Having reviewed some of the unredacted files, Representative Jamie Raskin stated that the sitting president's name appeared over 1 million times. In a post-deposition press conference, Representative Melanie Stansbury did not mince words, saying,
"The United States government is engaged in an active cover-up of the largest sex trafficking scandal and influence peddling scandal in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is right at the center of it."
While much has been withheld, the January 30th tranche of document contained earth-shattering allegations and exposed world leaders. They also validated some of Epstein's longest-standing accusers. Claims from Virginia Giuffre, widely regarded as the most documented Epstein victim, were corroborated by messages. A 2015 email from Ghislaine Maxwell confirmed she introduced Giuffre to Prince Andrew and authenticated the famous photo of the three at Maxwell's London home. Maxwell also admitted meeting Giuffre at Mar-a-Lago when she was working there, though Maxwell claimed Giuffre was 17 or 18, when Giuffre was actually 16 when recruited in 2000. A 2011 email from Epstein about Giuffre directly states,
"Yes, she was on my plane, and yes, she had her picture taken with Andrew."
Even though she is no longer around, she was vindicated in this way of so many people said she was a liar. The photo was photoshopped and stuff, and I think this is just the first piece of proof of like these victims are not lying. Like they're not lying. They're telling you the truth. And if you believe them, we could all get on with this a lot faster, but they don't want to for ...
Too much to lose. But yeah, former Prince Andrew, the Andrew formerly known as Prince, going on TV and going, "Well, it was just made up. It could have all been fake. It's photoshopped or whatever." It's all this stuff. It's like, bitch, the whole time y'all were gaslighting us. It's like a one giant gaslight trickery. And I'm not even the person that was personally affected. And it's driving me crazy and pissing me off. So I can only imagine the devastation that has gone through someone who is not only physically victimized as Virginia was, but then reputationally as she was, even past her death. And, if Virginia Giuffre has no champions, I'm dead. Because I feel like she stuck her neck out a lot. And I feel like, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former Prince Andrew who's already been stripped of his royal titles, was pictured in the release. A photo shows him kneeling over an unidentified woman on the floor at what appears to be Epstein's property. Both are clothed, and the woman's face is redacted. More significantly, August 2010 emails reveal correspondence between Epstein and an account signed
HRH, the Duke of York, KG,
in which Epstein offers to introduce the Duke to a 26-year-old Russian woman he describes as
beautiful and trustworthy,
adding,
"And yes, she has your email."
British PM Keir Starmer has suggested Andrew should testify to U.S. investigators. Andrew has never been charged criminally, but settled a civil lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre in 2022 for an undisclosed sum without admitting wrongdoing. However, these new files add documentary evidence to long-standing allegations about his relationship and involvement with Epstein's network.
I don't think any of us believed the civil lawsuit with no wrongdoing was truly because he didn't do anything wrong. But now, evidence.
I think we're going to find out a lot more about a lot of royals.
I think that
including his own wife and potentially their own children being victims as well. That's one of the harder things to stomach in all of this is how common and prolific it is for just these billionaire families and elite families to sell their own kids and trade them amongst each other. And it's just absolutely heinous to think of what they have gone through and what they're going through.
I was reading emails from a person called Eva who kept being like, "Selena's going to be here. She wants to see you. Do you want to see her? I'm going to bring her over. Selena. I'm like, are these sisters? Are they best friends? Selena's her 15-year-old daughter. I was in the the living room and went, it's a kid. And Paris was like, are you okay? And I was like, sorry, I was just reading a ton of emails that I was like, oh, this must be somebody Jeffrey's dating, like Epstein's dating. Like the amount of times this woman is like setting them up. And I was like, wait a minute, they have the same last name. That's weird. That's her fucking daughter.
Yeah.
And that was a name that Becca Day had previously tracked and traced through photographs of them together with Epstein and stuff like that. I'm like, Becca, girl, you were right.
I saw an email. I forget who it was from. It may have been redacted, but it was saying, let's all get together on such and such date, whatever their daughter's name. We'll be here, who's probably 7, 8, and we'll have 5 friends over.
We'll have, it said like several emails like Selena and friend will be there. Can't wait. I'm like, so now your kid's hanging out with these rich people and you don't know where she's ended up. Some guy came and got my daughter on a private jet with this. Yeah, they're taking him to fuck them in another place.
Yeah.
Probably on the jet.
It's disgusting. Not to mention the poor people that are from different countries, and somebody goes to them and says, hey, we'll give you 30 grand if you let us take your kid for a couple hours. And they're like, 30 grand, man, that would change our whole lives. I don't want to do it, but I don't see any other option.
And we'll make her a model. It'll be great. And then you take her off and then horrible things happen to her. And you go, if you want to keep getting money to your family, by the way, tell them that you did modeling, right? You don't want to tell them what you really do. And then they do that. But yeah, he systematically preyed on underprivileged kids, girls, the less missing people he thought that wouldn't go missing from Eastern European countries, oftentimes Ukrainian orphanages, Romanian orphanages. Truly, they were, I mean, you'd be like, that sounds crazy. It isn't. And that's why these other countries have started their own investigations.
The files reveal extensive corroboration of multiple victims beyond Giuffre, including FBI interviews and charts documenting recruitment schemes where victims were paid to bring in other girls. International political figures were also named. Mette Marie, Norway's crown princess, exchanged hundreds of messages with Epstein for years after his 2008 conviction. She's issued a public apology, though her son is separately on trial for unrelated sex assault charges. Miroslav Lojšák, Slovakia's national security advisor and former UN General Assembly president, resigned January 31st after communications with Epstein discussing
beautiful girls
were revealed.
So the crown princess has not stepped down. This fella, the national security advisor, did step down, but it really shows he had his tentacles extended everywhere. The UN General Assembly president. I mean, this is a princess. It wasn't just a single, one bad royal, that Andrew Mountbatten, he's a crazy guy. No, it seems to be that, like I said, if you're in a room with 5 people, 2 or 3 of them maybe doing Epstein stuff, part of this Epstein class of people.
Yeah. Or all 5 when it gets to the big
level.
dogs. And I think this also highlights, it was in no way just men. Also, it was certainly not just little girls that were trafficked. Boys were very much, and still are very much victims as well.
Absolutely. What do they say? It's like 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 4 boys. So it's definitely, it expands up to women. I mean, I think up until a certain age, because there's also multiple emails where he'd say, happy birthday to a lady. And she'd go, I'm turning 30. You know, I'm too old for you. And stuff like that too. So it was an open joke.
Yeah. Peter Mandelson, Britain's former EU commissioner and ambassador to the US, has suffered the most dire consequences so far. Emails show he received market-sensitive information from Epstein about the €500 billion EU bailout the day before it was publicly announced in May of 2010. He also forwarded internal UK government reports marked,
interesting note that's gone to the PM,
while Epstein was under house arrest, and discussed Gordon Brown's resignation, tax policy lobbying, and personal matters in messages like,
wherever he's in the world, he remains my best pal. Jeffrey, we love you.
Mandelson was fired as ambassador in September 2025, resigned from the Labour Party and House of Lords in February of 2026, and now faces criminal investigation for misconduct in public office, which carries a maximum sentence of life in prison.
Well, he gave insider info to Jeffrey Epstein, who made a lot of money, and they were sneaking secrets back and forth. So, of course, he's going to go to jail forever. Not one of the many rapists that are covered in this case.
The word pal, or the phrase, my best pal, is often comes up a lot when you search in the files too. I don't know what that means. In fact, that infamous card from Trump with the drawing that's like, it's always nice to have a good pal. I would speculate that has some sort of code meaning or is a word that all the pedos use that means something.
Something creepy. No, I wouldn't doubt it either.
Because who fucking talks like this, you know?
My best pal. I don't know. I'm like, it's just an old man word for friend, but
no,
you're right. I mean, it could be, but I'm shout out to the UK for getting this guy, you know, to resign and get fired and stuff and investigating him. I think Keir Starmer, the current prime minister, another of his aides also resigned. And then people were like, should the prime minister resign? Because he hired these people that were friends with Jeffrey Epstein. And I was like, but like he was, yes, first of all, but like the prime minister wasn't even friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Our guy was. Like, how come they get to get their guy fired? Wait a minute.
What is the holdup, everybody? What is the holdup? Are we all are you just out? You're waiting it out? See if he dies first before you got to release all this shit?
Yeah.
Bill Gates' name appears throughout the files in deeply damaging ways. Draft emails from Epstein allege Gates had extramarital affairs and sought help procuring drugs to, quote, deal with sexually transmitted diseases, discussed soured business ventures, and expressed concern that a public divorce would hurt the Gates Foundation. A Gates representative called these claims
absolutely absurd,
even while Gates had multiple documented meetings with Epstein after his 2008 conviction. His ex-wife, philanthropist Melinda French Gates, said the details in the latest files brought back memories of
some very, very painful times
of her marriage, telling NPR News.
I think we're having a reckoning as a society, right? No girl should ever be put in the situation that they were put in by Epstein and whatever was going on with all the various people around him. No girl. It's just beyond heartbreaking. And she said, too, when he was hanging out with Epstein, she'd be like, don't hang out with that guy. I don't like it. So then he just started lying to her and cheating on her and chose fucking a bunch of girls to his wife, which as his wife, I'd be like, go with God and leave me alone so I can get the fuck out of here and take the money and run. But yeah, to be like, I didn't hardly know the guy. Motherfucker, there are photos of you together. There's probably a picture of him on fucking Space Mountain at Disneyland. I mean, they were spending time together.
Yeah. She also said in an interview, she met Epstein one time because she told her husband, I want to see what this guy's all about. And she said immediately upon meeting him, she regretted the decision. She said, evil just emanates from him. And if she, as a grown woman, felt that way, imagine how a young child would feel around him.
Truly. And also probably you feel pretty powerless before they were divorced, knowing that your husband is hemmed up with this dude entwined in God knows what financial, business, whatever ventures, and now sexual ventures.
Yeah, he gave her an STD.
And then he wanted to figure out how to dose her with antibiotics to see that so she would know that she had to get STDs or whatever. So the fact that Bill Gates is also not in jail, I don't know. It's crazy business.
It is. In 2019, Elon Musk told Vanity Fair that Epstein was
a creep who tried repeatedly to get me to visit his island.
Musk, who served the Trump administration in its Doge efforts, claimed he declined all island invites. However, at least 16 emails between Musk and Epstein from 2012 to 2013 show Musk reaching out to the child sex trafficker. In November 2012, Elon asked,
"What day/night will be the wildest party on your island?"
Musk begged another time,
"Do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of sanity this year."
Other messages show them coordinating planned visits, including a lunch meeting in January 2013, a February 2013 lunch at SpaceX offices, and a planned December 2013 island visit Epstein canceled 3 days before. In October 2014, assistant schedule note reads,
Elon Musk to island December 6th. Is this still happening?
While the files show Musk actively sought visits and asked about parties, the almost trillionaire said in February 2026,
"I have never been to any Epstein parties ever." That's not for
Great
lack of trying, help me.
But do we even believe that?
No, I mean, I'm sure he was, come on now. My thing is, how fucking lame do you have to be that the worst person in the world is like, I don't want this guy. Come on. He's going to bring the vibe down. He's going to bring the fucking vibe. Tell him we're not having the party.
Elon, the weird guy. Like when all the biggest pedos in the world are like, man, we don't even want to hang out with that guy.
He's too creepy for even us.
What does that tell you?
That means he's the mega creep. He's the ultimate creep. Also, by the way, he said he wants to build a self-sustaining town on the moon and that he's going to have the first settlement, and I will fly to the moon and beat his ass myself. That is our moon. It's not Elon's moon.
No.
It's not Elon's moon. If you go up there, I will follow you, Elon Musk, and I will beat your ass on the moon. Get off of my moon.
There's no laws up there. We've already talked about that. Laws.
I'll whoop his ass up there. So do what? Now what are you going to do? And he's like, I'd like to see you try. And then we test it out. If you kick someone hard enough, they fly off the edge into space.
Oh, so my theory's right.
If you
run really fast and jump hard enough, you'll fly off the moon.
You kick him hard enough, you can kick him off the moon. Yeah, no, it's funny though that it's one of those things where like out loud in public, you're like, I never talked to Jeffrey Epstein. And you're like, cool, there's like 40 emails of you being like, can we be best friends, Jeffrey? What could I do to make you love me? So we can't trust what you say because you fucking lied to all of our faces.
They're all fucking liars. How can we trust anything any of them says?
No, I don't fucking, let me see your emails. How about that? That's what I trust. I trust your emails. I don't trust you.
Musk's ex-wife Tallulah has also corroborated being at the island because one of the emails stated how many will be with you at the heli, because they all take fucking helicopters everywhere for the visit. And he said, probably just me and Tallulah. And Tallulah has corroborated, yes, they were at the island during that time.
Well, there you go. So again, all these folks that are like, I know I can keep the secret. I'm like, there's too many people that saw you and too many people that you have pissed off that are ready to rat you.
Yeah. At the same time, there are so many people that saw this. Shame on you, and may you burn in hell forever if you do not come forward with the information you had. Because as you said earlier, it's not just the elite that are involved. It's the staff, the pilots, the limo drivers, the helicopter pilots. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, I have a list of names I've been making that I'm like, okay, this is the guy that primarily was the contact for the ranch. This guy was, so I can watch for, are these people being subpoenaed to come in and testify? Because they know literally, I think, where the bodies are buried.
Oh, yes. And they're in a bunch of golf courses and out in the desert.
Sinisterhood will be right back. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. We're both Helix freaks.
We're Helix
freaks. I'm a Helix freak, baby.
I always wondered, like, why doesn't the mattresses prior to this hit? It's because I never took a quiz that tailored the mattress to my specific sleep specifications. And when you can do that with Helix, and they're like, oh, by the way, you need the Sunset Luxe. And I said, bet. And it's been the best mattress I've ever had.
Really? I would just buy whatever before, but buying a mattress, because it used to feel overwhelming, but when I took the Helix sleep quiz, it made it way easier. I got matched with a mattress. Like Christy said, it was based on how I slept. And now I not just look forward to going to bed. I'm like supermarket shop. I'm like a person on Black Friday when the doors open back in the day when they had doorbuster deals. I try to run to my bed. Delivery is quick. They just, gave it to me on the porch. Wasn't a big deal. 120 night trial, peace of mind. It's won tons of awards, and I get why. It's amazing. It's one of the best things about my house, truly.
Go to helixsleep.com/creepy through February 25th for their President's Day sale and get 27% off site-wide.
That's helixsleep.com/creepy through February 25th for their President's Day sale to get 27% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/creepy. Sinisterhood will be right back.
Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder, admitted going to Epstein's Island with Joy Ito, the MIT Media Lab director, who later resigned over concealment of Epstein donations. Hoffman stated he only knew Epstein through MIT fundraising.
Which I very much regret. Yeah, but also the MIT fundraising was for a genetics lab, which we'll talk about in a future episode. So it's like a gene manipulation. There's also like a mental manipulation lab. So we're now at one place at Harvard, he was doing genes. At MIT, he was doing mental. At another place, he was doing AI. Another place, he was doing Bitcoin. So I just gave him some money to do what? To help control us, Reid Hoffman, you dumbass?
To create what Epstein would consider the perfect race.
How
can you have so many emails going back and forth with someone? You know who he is. And you think these are just, he's just, I don't know. He's just probably just has a lab. He's probably trying to just do some potions and shit. Like, give me a fucking break, dude. Everybody that had any contact with him, especially post 2008, knew exactly who they were dealing with.
I was going to say that before 2008, people, I would be shocked if there were not whispers, because I have seen some emails between Epstein and scientists that the scientists seem like they're actually doing real good work. And Epstein's like, I'm going to give you millions of dollars to cure whatever, not knowing that really he wants that information for something else, something nefarious or whatever. So you kind of see these scientists being like, okay, I guess I'll take the money. Careful who you take money from, because it does ensnare you. It does wrap you up. And I do think even before 2008, there was at the very least whiffs of things. This wasn't like, oh my God, he led a completely separate second life. It's like, they like had barrels of acid and like body latex to like make what with body latex? I don't know. But there were, and large numbers of topless middle schoolers walking around. And that has to raise some flags for you. Like you don't get to go like, I don't know. I thought it was just an open family and they're all just, no, it's definitely a perverted child sex party. You don't get to just take the money and be like, well, we were just going to do research with it. Okay, well, I think you should still go to jail.
And it's sad how influential a big payout can be to make people do things they would otherwise never do.
Absolutely.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik admitted Tuesday that he and his family had lunch on Jeffrey Epstein's private island in 2012, contradicting his previous claims that he severed all ties with the convicted sex offender in 2005. Under pointed questioning from Senator Chris Van Hollen during a Senate Appropriations Committee hearing, Lutnik acknowledged visiting Little St. James with his wife, 4 children, nannies, and another family with children, admitting,
"We had lunch on the island
for about an hour during a family vacation."
I need a moment alone with Howard Lutnik so that I could put my hands on either of his shoulders and look him in the face and say, when you're being accused of going to a pedophile island, shouting repeatedly that you brought your children with you is not making you sound like a better person.
In fact, I would posit they were taken along for a reason.
And he's like, anybody who's making these allegations, I'm like,
you mean
we're ridiculous?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that post 2008, when we know this guy is raping kids and you took your kids to a kid raping island and you're like, I took my kids. I wasn't there to rape kids. I brought my own kids. We're like, is it a donation? What is going on? The fact that our current serving Commerce Secretary, currently, this man is the one who decides what the poverty levels are in the United States. He has important. And he lied to all of our faces, by the way. He said, I didn't talk to him. And then 7 years later, he's like, they want me to bring the kiddies by?
Yeah. You think for 7 years they didn't have contact either?
No. Yeah, no, of course not. They never saw each other once. Are you fucking kidding me?
No. There's emails. I can't remember if it's Lutnik or another family emailing Epstein saying, we'll be in St. Bart's this weekend. We'd love to stop by the island. We're
Can't wait.
Visiting with 3 families. We all have 4 children, ages, not their names.
Don't worry about that.
No, because they just needed to know 16, 2 12-year-olds, an 11-year-old, and a 7-year-old.
Yeah,
they
no,
just needed the name. They just wanted the ages of those kids.
At Texas Roadhouse, they don't tell you the names of the steaks in the case, right? They tell you how many ounces they are. So that's probably a person that still is in our government right now.
Yeah. And it breaks my heart because you have no control over the family to which you were born. And all of these kids that are in these families had their childhood stripped from them and if they are still alive and adults, are forever scarred and traumatized. I mean, I can't imagine the level of trauma that would do to somebody.
Truly, I feel as bad for the low-income kids that got plucked from their houses as these kids that got plucked when they were toddlers, kids, grade school kids, middle school kids that don't have a choice in it. And I would implore you, if you are an adult child of these sex traffickers, especially if you were victimized by these sex traffickers, come forward. I think we're at a place as a country that we are ready to believe you. It's not unreasonable, outrageous outlet just because your dad is the Commerce Secretary or the Treasury Secretary or the former Treasury Secretary or the current president. It doesn't matter what they are currently doing. I think hopefully we are at a place as a nation that we would believe you, because they deserve justice just as much as the victims who've already come forward. There's so many that haven't, I'm sure.
I think you're correct that the nation as a whole would believe them. But as you said at the beginning, that's not going to get anybody arrested.
No.
The money is what is going to get them arrested, which is abhorrent. And it's a stark reminder of how things like this can happen to anyone, whether you have $0 or you come from millions of dollars. You can still be a victim of child sexual abuse.
Yeah, it does not discriminate between who your parents are. I think if it is an access and availability thing, unfortunately, the poor parents I'm going to say the poor parents, the poor kids, the only person that can protect them is their parents. And when it's like, my dad's a sultan, what am I going to do? My dad's a commerce secretary, what am I going to do?
My dad was there and saw it happen. Yeah. What am I going to do?
But even if he was there and saw it happen, like, I can't go, what am I going to go call the cops? Cool. Yeah. He's like a federal official. Like,
no,
you know, or you're from another country or something.
You just live with it.
Goddamn.
Pop star Chappell Roan announced Monday she's leaving the Wasserman talent agency led by Casey Wasserman, who chairs the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics Organizing Committee. This follows revelations in the Epstein Files of flirtatious email exchanges between Wasserman and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell from 2003. Roan wrote on Instagram,
"Artists deserve representation that aligns with their values and supports their safety and dignity, and no artist, agent, or employee should ever be expected to defend or overlook actions that conflict so deeply with our own moral values."
We love Chappell, and we love to see this, and this is how you do things, because that's a lot of money. He's about to
change
lose.
Happens. Yep.
The departure marks the highest profile exit from Wasserman's agency after artists including Best Coast's Bethany Constantino, Wednesday, and Beach Bunny left in recent days. Los Angeles County Supervisor Janice Hahn has called for Wasserman to step down from his Olympic role. Wasserman has apologized for his correspondence with Maxwell and denies having a personal or business relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. However, sources told Rolling Stone senior executives feel betrayed after Wasserman had assured them
there's nothing else
that would emerge.
He's like, listen, I'm not friends with Bert at all. Me and Ernie just hung out, okay? Yeah. So I don't even know this guy, Bert. And you're like, I mean, they kind of lived together and spent every second together.
You didn't ever cross paths? You don't know about you didn't ever hear about him?
I didn't know that guy. I'm like, why are you in charge of the Olympics? Fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Get out of here.
And as an Olympic side, I was really glad / proud to see 2 U.S. skiers when asked, like, how does it feel representing the U.S. right now? Both say, I do not agree what's happening in the USA. I have a lot of conflicting feelings about this. I am competing for myself, my friends, my family, my coaches that helped me get here. And that has got to be heartbreaking, that you train your whole life to be an Olympian, and then our country shits all over it when it's your time to go. And now you're stuck with like, well, God, I'm literally embarrassed to be representing the USA, but this is my passion. This is my sport. What do you,
this is where I'm from. I have to play for them, right? Yeah. Like I can't switch teams.
You either back out or you, like they said, you compete for yourself and your family and friends and coaches.
Hold your head up high. I was extremely proud of the whole Olympic community to cheer for the USA athletes. And the second JD Vance's ugly mug got on screen, not only did they boo him, but the footage of JD Vance's face being like, which I think Peacock NBC cut away from, but foreign media has shown.
They did.
It is one of the funniest little chubby cheek little baby face I've ever seen. She's like, I'm so mad. Everyone's yelling at me.
I have also heard, I don't work at NBC, so I can't confirm this, but that the boos were largely muted
for turn them down
for what we saw.
They were like, hey, damn, the mics are peaking, you guys. You got to turn them off. I've never heard boos this loud.
Yeah, for real, though. And same with the Super Bowl. Like, Green Day's performance, there's a big chunk of that we didn't see, where they were being outspoken. And it was not aired, on the whatever we were watching.
Major networks.
Which is just more proof that the media controls what we see.
It is part of it. Part of fifth generation warfare.
Steve Bannon, Trump's close advisor during his first term, exchanged hundreds of texts with Epstein during his time advising the president. Bannon was also described in messages as
a key player in Epstein's long-shot effort to rehabilitate his reputation.
In 2018, Bannon texted,
I'd like to do a documentary on the real story.
And Epstein answered,
yes, great idea.
Bannon filmed hours of interviews with Epstein for a planned documentary portraying him in
a redemptive light.
The relationship went beyond PR. Epstein also gave Bannon advice on building far-right political movements overseas.
Again, if it weren't enough that Donald Trump's name is mentioned a million times, they were texting more than you and I text. Steve Bannon and Epstein. Yeah. I mean, they were best fucking friends. And meanwhile, Epstein was like sitting next to Donald Trump while this is like, so what am I to believe?
And also,
they had no context.
Steve Bannon, what are you talking about trying to rebrand when you know good goddamn well what this guy does? You're probably complicit in a lot of it. So you're going to why would you even wrap yourself up in that? Oh, because he's giving you a lot of money and advice on how to build your far-right political movements, which all this can be traced back to is white nationalism and evangelical Christianity.
Well, which is what and that's another email, which we'll get into in a future episode with Peter Thiel and Epstein literally saying, hey, we need to tribalize everybody. Everybody's getting along too much. So we need to prove that everybody's separate and different and like make sure that white people know they're better. Just like tell them that. Just, it's like now you're meddling and mixing in people's literally their interactions with their neighbors and to great effect, when you've got AI, robots, whatever to help do that, like certainly. But yeah, I think Bannon was like, oh, well, we can control the story. I think the democratization of art and the media has fucked them all. And they were like, well, like with, I said, Peacock can cut out whatever booze they want. TikTok will show the booze or Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Substack. It doesn't matter where you're at. X even at some points. So I think they, for a long time, were able to continue this and they can't anymore. It's impossible. The internet fucked them over, as did social, like phones, camera phones.
Yeah. The thing with that is when you trace the money back to all the social media platforms you just named, at some point, people that are in these files are either co-owners or have large stake in stocks in them. So at what point then does TikTok stop? They're just like NBC, like you don't see that stuff anymore.
It already has started, in my opinion. I've significantly curbed my usage of TikTok, just given the privacy policy issues, as well as I do think it's manipulated by not just our government, but specifically Larry Ellison and Oracle. I mean, it is part of their fifth generation warfare to create, in my opinion, to tribalize us further, to try and kind of do what Facebook did in the 2016 election.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I also find TikTok helpful because that is a place where you can find boots on the ground journalism and journalists or creators like Becca Day or Aaron Parnas that are giving you factual information. So it's a fine line to walk.
So I had to go find them somewhere else. It's hard though, because it does kind of cause this splintering, and it's not as big of it's kind of what happened to Twitter, I think, around 2021. There was a lot of good journalists on it, a lot of good information shared, and Elon comes in and fucks it all up. And you're like, I think we're seeing the Twitterification of TikTok now, unfortunately.
FBI interview notes from June 2020 reveal a witness told agents about Bannon's relationship with Epstein, but was hesitant to discuss it because Bannon was
friends with powerful people.
A January 2019 email shows Epstein's assistant, Leslie Groff, arranged delivery of an Apple Watch gift, writing,
Steve has been given his Apple Watch.
Bannon has not yet been charged with any crime, but apparently has reason to worry. At a Conservative Partnership Institute event on November 6, 2025, Bannon was filmed saying,
As God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
He knows what he's doing. They all know what they're doing.
This man said it out loud.
Yeah.
So that tells you right now, what does that tell us? We cannot lose the midterms. We have to lock in. The criminal who is going to go to jail if he loses the midterms literally just said out loud the worst thing that could happen would be. So that's why they're desperately trying to pass this SAVE Act that would make it difficult at the poll. You'd have to bring your birth certificate and it has to match your driver's license, which is not true for a lot of married people. You have to bring your passport. So they're trying to I think trying to scoot that in while we're not paying attention, because if you're all worked up about the Epstein files, as you should be, you might not be paying attention to a law that will in fact help keep them out of jail in the midterms by forcing this excessive voter ID act.
Let's not forget that while this is going on, a lot of other stuff's going on, and a lot of this has been leaked as a distraction to keep everyone from looking at what else could be going on.
Well, and I think now Trump is trying to distract from the Epstein files and was like, there's UFOs. I'm going to make a speech soon. I was like, come on, man. What? Sinisterhood will be right back. Oh, it's that time of year where everyone's like, here's some more candy. It's National Margarita Day. It's President's Day. You're off. Do you want to go do this thing? And guess what? I only have so much time to do so many things. And one of the things I want to do most, my friends at IndaCloud knows that that's probably the best Valentine's gift.
IndaCloud is your fully legal online cannabis dispensary. That's gummies, exotic flower, premium pre-rolls, and now zero sugar THC sodas, which basically tastes like someone finally invented a beverage that understands you. All hemp THC, DEA certified, lab tested, shipped discreetly, which is great because sometimes you don't want your neighbors up all in your business.
For real, it's not y'all. Don't worry about what I'm ordering. Whether you're looking to float or fucking launch into the moon, baby, which is our moon. I swear to God, this brand has you covered with THC levels tailored to your vibe. You got the gummies for stress relief, some sodas for a smooth social buzz, pre-rolls for a nightly decompression, and $70 ounces because adulthood is already expensive enough. Shout out to IndaCloud for their pre-rolls are great. Their gummies, love a gummy. The
candy rope.
Oh, candy rope, so good. Their gummies just like 6 different memories just came in my mind. I'm like, hell yeah, IndaCloud. That was a good concert, good museum visit, whatever it was. Thank you,
good
IndaCloud.
Walk, good hike.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you're 21 or older, visit indacloud.co and use code CREEPY for 35% off the entire month. That's indacloud.co, code CREEPY. 35% off, shipped discreetly to your door, and the only relationship this February that definitely won't break up with you.
Enjoy responsibly, and a major thank you to IndaCloud for supporting this show and keeping the laughs within reach. Sinisterhood will be right back.
The review and unredaction of certain names in the Epstein files has brought renewed scrutiny to longtime associates. An FBI document listing Epstein's, quote, family and associates removed redactions to those labeled as co-conspirators, including Wexner, Ghislaine Maxwell, French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, and Epstein's executive assistant, Leslie Groff. Brunel, a modeling scout and close Epstein associate for decades, was listed in a 2012 version of Epstein's trust as receiving as much as $5 million. He was arrested by French authorities in 2020 on charges of rape and trafficking of minors before dying by suicide in a French jail cell in 2022. Well, where have we heard that before?
I think he probably was just struggling and really did die by suicide and wasn't killed by, I don't know, some type of cabal.
Or was he killed?
Yeah, no, I think he was killed for sure. I think he not only trafficked but women he did not know through his modeling agency and was a source for a lot of victims. It is my understanding also offered up children he was related to as well.
As
one
they
of
are
those.
wont to do. Wexner, through his legal representative, has stated the prosecutors informed him he was
neither a co-conspirator nor a target.
Though lawmakers, including Representative Jamie Raskin, have called certain redactions of Wexner's name
suspicious and baffling,
given his extensive mentions elsewhere in the files. Wexner is scheduled to testify under oath before Congress on February 18th.
He's 88 years old. He's the one from whom Epstein got a large amount of money. He's the guy that was the head of Victoria's Secret, the Limited 2, Justice.
They were neighbors, I believe.
Yeah, and then Epstein would go to Ohio all the time to visit him because Wexner lived in Ohio and donated a shitload of money to the Ohio State University, at which a gynecologist was paid a pretty handsome multi-$1,000 monthly retainer. So probably you need to get that guy's medical records and figure out what the fuck he was doing for that retainer amount. Because what do you mean that Jeffrey Epstein had a gynecologist and a dentist in New York on retainer? Both of those, I'm sorry, fellas, if you are the mafioso dentist or the mafioso gyno, you got to go down too. You don't get to just be a barnacle. The barnacles are attached for life. So you all have got to go down together. So I think the doctor from Ohio State University and the dentist from New York, who are mentioned extensively, got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
When it's 5 o'clock and everyone's asking what's for dinner, ButcherBox saves the day. Instead of staring into the fridge full of mystery ingredients, now we've got high quality protein that's already ready to go. It's been such a game changer for busy nights, especially the kids love chicken nuggets and mac and cheese. They love to eat that a lot, but sometimes you want something a little more elevated.
That's right. Their selection, when you get elevated, when you get Butcher Blocks, their selection is wild. You don't just get the basic cuts. There are over 100 options. Talking grass-fed beef, organic chicken, crate-free pork, wild-caught seafood, and every single thing they offer meets their super high standards. That means no antibiotics, no hormones. You could trust what you're feeding your family is actually good for them. What's one of y'all's Butcher Box faves?
Oh man, pretty much everything we've gotten we've gotten steak, we've gotten shrimp, chicken, everything that we've ever received from them is fresh. It comes fresh. A lot of times with meat and things like that being shipped, you're like, I don't know how this is going to arrive. Everything's totally fine. They got their ice packets in there. I've never been concerned about it. And it all is organic, and I can feel good about what I'm consuming and feeding my kids.
Hell yeah. The quality is the same, whether you're doing something fancy like steak or just tossing chicken in the air fryer. And the plans are customizable. So if you know you got a hectic week coming up, you fill your box with the easier, like kid-friendly stuff. So then everybody's getting fed.
And they don't just stop at food. ButcherBox is a certified B Corp, which means they care about the environment, the workers, the animals, all of it. Plus free shipping, recipes, love that they include the recipes to keep, exclusive deals, and they really do make it easier to eat better without overthinking it.
As an exclusive offer, new listeners can get their choice between organic ground beef, chicken breast, or ground turkey in every box for a year, plus $20 off when you go to butcherbox.com/creepy.
That's right. Your choice of organic ground beef, chicken breast, or ground turkey in every box for an entire year, plus $20 off your first box and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/creepy. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
As more disturbing facts emerge, lawmakers have vowed not to let up the fight. Representative Ro Khanna wondered what the turning point may be, saying,
This is bringing down the British government. It may bring down the British monarchy. It's bringing down countries and the elites across the world. What are we doing here in the United States to stand up to the Epstein class? We've got a commerce secretary who's all over the Epstein files. Where is the outrage?
Meanwhile, Representative Jasmine Crockett declared, regardless of partisanship, the Oversight Committee will not stop the investigation until justice is served, saying on Monday,
We are not stopping. We're going to be on their asses.
Attorney General Pam Bondi will testify on Wednesday, February 11th.
They said, what about Trump? And Crockett said, we're going to be on his ass too. And I love a Texan who's like, bring in the Texas. Like, I want them to be on their asses, man.
I agree. Well, so what do we think?
Oh, I'm sure swiftly trials will happen and justice will be served in due course.
I agree with Rokana of where is the outrage? Because I feel crazy that I'm as outraged as I am, and people I know haven't even said a word about it. Like, and I get, like, we all have to, like, compartmentalize and live our lives somehow while this is all crumbling around us. You can still come out and say, this is abhorrent. I would never support this. Anyone that Trump is affiliated with, anyone that's affiliated with Epstein, like, abhorrent. We can never support this. And I don't see enough of that happening.
It is, I'm glad to see, coverage on, ABC News or whatever. They can't get into everything. It'll be like, some more redactions have been seen. It's crazy stuff. And I really think it is and if people don't have the mental capacity at this point, which I feel it's emotional capacity to literally actually see it firsthand yourself, I would just say find a reasonable source that you trust, that you can just check once a day, mindfully, at 3 p.m., you're going to check in and see what's going on, or, every other day, and let that move you in whatever way, which might be to call your elected representatives, because I think they are all literally just trying to bet on the fact that, okay, we just have to last until November. Everyone will just forget about it. And as long as we can just win the midterms, we just go in and shred everything. We need the midterms. We need the midterms. The reason why they're so focused on the midterms is the only people that can stop the executive branch right now, it would seem, because the Supreme Court is also implicated by way of tuition being paid for Justice Thomas's child, by way of Brett Kavanaugh being hand selected by both Steve Bannon and Epstein in order to overturn Chevron. I mean, we have to grapple with the fact that our Supreme Court is extremely compromised. At the very least, Thomas, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, I mean, really, they were hand selected to decide a certain way, and they were apparently given stuff in return. So right now, Congress is literally the only thing that's standing between us and really the baddies taking over. I mean, having it where full tentacles can't ever get them out. We're all fucked. What took down Nixon? The Oversight Committee, the Judiciary Committee. That is who is got their boots on these people's necks. So we may have to make sure Ro Khanna, Thomas Massie, Melanie Stansbury, Jasmine Crockett, Jamie Raskin, these people that are, I would argue, putting their literal lives on the line. Yes, their career, certainly. But these are people, the ones that they're investigating are people who have killed people, who have people killed, who will have your family investigated, who will bankrupt you, who will take all your Bitcoin. You know what I mean? These are apparently unstoppable criminals. So the fact that we have anybody that's willing to stand up and say, we're going to be on their asses, that woman is putting her fucking neck out. So I won't stand for anybody going, nothing's ever going to happen. Because Jasmine Crockett is, I feel like her and the crew, and Melanie Stansbury, God, that woman's seen some stuff. Yeah. So that is how vital it is that wherever you live in the United States, find out who your representative is. If they're on this, call them and tell them you want them to be on it harder. And if they're not on it, call them and say, are you in the files? Because why are you not on this? And I include John Cornyn. I called today and was like, you're literally on the finance committee and you aren't going through these transactions. Go work with Ron Wyden. What are you doing? If you don't go work with Ron Wyden, I'm going to assume you're a pedophile. And if you win the primary against Ken Paxton, I'm going to go take a spray paint pedophile on every campaign sign that has your name on it. Period. Full stop. So I think we need to significantly pressure those in our legislative branch, because I think they really are the ones right now with the power.
I hope you're right.
That's it. I think that's it. And Pam Bondi's going to testify as you are listening to this. Supposedly she's going to testify. What's she going to say? What's she not going to say?
Yeah. Is she just going to say, I plead the fifth?
Or straight up lie?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I don't believe anything any of these people are saying. So it's all just lip service, in my opinion.
I think it's a trap at the end of the day, in a good, positive way. It's a Pam Bondi trap. You can't arrest her for contempt, for lying, for material misrepresentation, unless she sits down, swears, and then says it. And so I think asking her, what do you mean there's a video of you at lunch eating a salad being like, it's all a bunch of little kids. So why have you, as the Department of Justice, head of the Department of Justice, those shouldn't be being redacted. Instead, they should be being investigated.
And
so
how did you know this and not say something?
You're just having your fucking cob and not up screaming and yelling about this. So I'm hoping to see that this is unfortunately a bit of a protracted process, but that we will start to see very aggressive questioning. And specifically, Jasmine Crockett is a criminal defense attorney. She knows how to trick somebody, into saying something that would be a actionable lie that you said on the stand.
She's
so that's what I'm
definitely
hoping.
Smarter than Pam Bondi.
100%. So I think hopefully they're setting traps for these folks, and then the folks that don't testify or whatever, use contempt power. I don't know, but
what is, and I'm playing devil's advocate. All that happens.
Alan Dershowitz already the devil's advocate,
and that's good and well. At the end of the day, though, the people in power are still the compromised people. So what really ends up happening when there is a glass ceiling that everyone reaches, even if they're doing the most good they can do?
What I think is going to happen is we will see irrefutable evidence that Donald Trump has done something unforgivable. Insert whatever you think that might be here, and that they're going to 25th Amendment him. They're going to say he's mentally incompetent, that he can't stand trial, that, he's actually got to go see this medical professional, and then he'll flee the country.
What do you think that would be that we haven't already seen?
We haven't seen him doing the things that we described up at the top. We haven't. That's what I'm saying. Melanie Stansberry, apparently, I don't know, some people have. So the folks that have seen the Unredacted files, I'm saying something will have to be made public. What I do think the challenge is, and what I agree with you up top, is the age of AI. What do you do when everyone's like, well, it's probably
just deny.
And just deny. But I would say, please, nobody think that Donald Trump is popular. He's extremely unpopular. And if you're curious, look at the Super Bowl numbers. Truly, Turning Point USA used to have such a huge market share. They artificially inflated their YouTube numbers. It's just not the popularity. And if it seems like it's online, it's bots. I mean, it truly is. They did not win through the popular vote. They're losing at local elections across the country. It's not a popular stance anymore, especially now that it's kind of the pedophile party. You're with the party of the pedophile. Yikes. That's kind of where we're at. So I just hate to hear anybody feel like we're outnumbered by pedophile supporters, when in fact, I think the number of these perverts is becoming apparent, and it's clear that they are highly outnumbered.
I agree they're outnumbered. They also have all the wealth and can do whatever they want. Like you said, why are they all putting their money in offshore accounts in Qatar? Building the amount of underground bunkers, nay, complete cities and worlds that we as the public are unaware of but exist is mind-blowing.
I did have that thought today that the bunkers that Elon and Peter Thiel and everybody were talking about maybe were not for an apocalypse type situation, but for they can't get us if we're here kind of a situation, and we might have that. And then, like I said, that's I can't answer that, how we grapple with as the world when we have a country that's but also that's all just a bunch of pedophiles. But what I would say as well is, if you move to a country that does not have a robust scheme to protect your assets, then the dictatorship in charge could just push you out a window and take all of your money, Donald Trump. So I would watch out for that too, that they don't kill you the second you land and then take their plane back. And that's a really good grift, right? Is that you get all this money out of this guy and he did all your dirty work and then you just get to kill him. So there's a lot of geopolitical things beyond that. But as far as the US and people having money and stuff, freeze and seize. I mean, we did it to Russian oligarchs and stuff, and you punish people by freezing their assets. And like I said, the question becomes, and what if JP Morgan is complicit and stuff like that? Is the bank now become, I don't know, under the purview of the U.S. government? Do we have a federalized national money? I don't know, but I do think that we are headed for uncharted waters, which is crazy to think about. But
yeah,
I do think they're outnumbered.
Yeah, I think they're outnumbered, and it's a big shame that you don't get to being a billionaire by being a good person, like Tommy said.
No.
You are willing to do all the bad stuff to continue getting those invites and be a part of those conversations. And we have to change how that works. We have to change the wealth distribution system. It's not right versus left. It's top versus bottom. And they do not care about anybody. We're all just pawns in their little scheme. So if you're voting for him and you're a rancher out in the middle of nowhere, barely getting by, you're only hurting yourself by doing that.
Especially given the email, one of them was like, so how do we get rid of all the poor people? Like, that's what they think of us. So they think,
no, we're just peasants.
I mean, to try to, like, you know, what do you think about, you know, if you're trying to get ants out of your yard? That's kind of how they think about us, truly. So that's how, when you go, oh my God, how is it possible for them to do this to people? I think the systematic dehumanization by their selective othering of themselves through unearned wealth, vast amounts of unearned, stolen, quite frankly, wealth. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't a financial genius. He didn't know how taxes worked half the time.
Ritualistic things.
Yeah, stealing information and shit. So,
and that, I mean, like, the psychological power, and this can be traced back through many cultures, of like putting on a mask and now you've become this entity, or you're deriving power from someone. You also can just psychologically separate. It's not me raping this kid. It's, you know, whatever mask I've got on, or whatever crazy animal head I'm wearing. It's fucked up when you're like, so you mean every movie we've ever seen that's a horror movie is probably like based on real stuff?
It's possible. Or is people trying to tell you like this is what happened? I think that's
a lot of it too.
Some of it's like, symbolism or stuff you've seen that you can't unsee, or any of that.
Or artist powerful. And I think a lot of artists in various mediums have been using their platforms to kind of inform people for years of like what's going on. But, you know, unless you put all the pieces together, you don't look at it like that at the time.
It's like, what a weird music video. Why is he like putting himself on the table like sushi, like he's being eaten? And you're like, Harry Styles has seen some shit. The man has seen some shit.
Bieber's Yummy video. Watch a breakdown of the symbolism in that.
Truly, I think the celebrities that came out of nothing, Justin Bieber, Harry Styles, kind of came out of nowhere or whatever, that don't have institutional familial connections to Hollywood and stuff like that, are the ones that are more likely to be A, abused and exploited, and B, to be like, I got to tell somebody, but I can't because they're going to kill me, you know? So it kind of makes sense. It's like, well, you're not, oh, well, that's just what we do in Hollywood. You know, you're kind of like Corey Feldman, you know, freaking out going, hey, I got to tell somebody about this. And I was like, Corey Feldman's crazy.
I saw an interview with him yesterday that was so well spoken and like just sincere. And I believe all of the horrible things that has happened to him. And man, they started happening at a real young age, and to a lot of people too.
Tell you to your face too. Yo, truly. And their footage of Britney Spears has been recently making the rounds on Star Search, with Ed McMahon being like, you're so pretty. Do you want to be my girlfriend? I'll kill you, dude. Ed McMahon, you pervert. That guy's knocking on your door holding balloons. Why? He's like, hey, do you guys want a giant check? You got any kids inside? Like, what the fuck?
Richard Branson, on an interview with Conan, sits down next to Selma Hayek and physically picks her up and then puts her in a bear hug in his lap. And she's like, I've got a boyfriend. Oh, he's going to see this. And he's like, what's his name? And keeps touching her to the point where Conan's finally like, hey, man, you put your hands on her again, I'm going to whip your ass. In a Conan way. But
Conan being
for real, though.
He's real.
But like, he even says in the interview, only a billionaire could put hands on Selma Hayek. And he's right, you know?
Yeah,
that
I think that's
mentality of like, I'm a billionaire. I can go in and grab whatever celebrity I want. What are you going to do to me?
Do you mean like when the president testified in a deposition when asked about the grab her by the pussy comment and was like, that's what you true? I find it to be true. And I was like, you know what? He's under oath. And honestly, I don't think he's lying. I think he probably does. I think he's probably groped a lot of people.
Oh,
and he was like, it's totally, like you can, they just let you do it. I'm like, I think a freeze response to a sexual assault is not the same as, quote, letting you do it, Mr. President. But that's what helps you go to sleep tonight, along with 16 hours of tweeting and 5 Big Macs. But
I had a gun to her head that she let me do it. It's like,
she loved it.
Yeah.
I told her she would never see her family again. She loved it. It's like,
I told her she'd end up dead like that other 12-year-old girl that I recently killed and had buried. So she let me do it.
No joke. We'll go to our website, sinisterhood.com/contact, and in the submit a topic suggestion. If there's anything particularly noteworthy, Epstein-wise, that you think we should highlight, we're going to do about 2 more of these updates because, man, that ranch is crazy. That was a weird medical testing murder ranch facility with like landowner deals going all the way up to the governor of New Mexico and weird shit going on. So between that and the Epstein victims law firm going bankrupt out from under them, trapping all of their case files. I mean, we've got a lot to go over, but there's a lot of crazy shit we can't see because there's 3 million documents. So you might have seen something we haven't. So go to sinisterhood.com/contact and we might throw it in one of these updates.
Yes. As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy.
This episode of Sinisterhood is made possible with the help of our amazing patrons.
If you're interested in supporting the show, consider joining our Patreon. You'll get access to ad-free regular episodes, weekly bonus content, you're able to vote on episode topics, join our monthly live streams, and more.
Keep it creepy.
Mwah.